The Harvest Ale by McKinnon Brothers Brewing and A Place to Stand Pilsner by Sawdust City are two beers that are 100% Barnell malt. My name's Devin Huffman. I'm owner and operator at Barnell Malt in Belleville, Ontario. A maltster's job is to convert raw grains into a usable brewer's ingredient. Well, my wife and I, Leslie and I, were working sort of on contract work, remote job sites, working in the resource industry, primarily out west. Pretty transient lifestyle. We would spend a couple of weeks here and then a couple of weeks there, and I think we just felt like we wanted to change in the lifestyle, something that was a little more stable, something a little more permanent. And this property was originally my grandparents', and so it was available. We decided to move back and set up our own business based on the farm. We wanted to launch a business that was specifically in the ag industry, but because this wasn't a working farm, we had to look into something that was sort of low volume, high value, specialty product, niche markets essentially. We just didn't have the resources or the land base to sort of launch a conventional agricultural business. We grew up camping and doing field work and involved in ag industry through my parents and through my grandparents. So eventually I studied both forestry and mechanical engineering, and sort of which was a foot in either of those sort of worlds, and ultimately ended up being a fairly relevant background for designing and building a malt house. Sure. Well, I mean, we started out. I started out studying forestry in Thunder Bay and Lakehead, so I moved up to northwestern Ontario and lived there for about 10 years, I guess. And like typical of forestry students, you start out tree planting during the summers. So that eventually led to contracts that carried over, year round, and progressively evolved into working with mining and other resource industries. All just sort of, it was opportunistic sort of evolution of employment. And we'd originally started looking at craft brewing as an option, a farm brewery, and when we looked into the supply chain with respect to brewing ingredients, and as part of that initial business planning, we recognized there was a significant hole in the supply chain, specifically with Ontario-grown cereals. So we started exploring this concept of malting and the possibility of doing it at a small scale, at sort of a craft level. It really was appealing. When we realized that the Ontario craft brewing scene really didn't have access to the Ontario cereals in any significant way. So we have all these growers, all these farmers in Ontario that are watching this craft beer scene grow and are interested in participating and are motivated to provide ingredients to this industry and to collaborate with the breweries. But there was this missing link in this integral process of malting. So for us, I think when we saw that opportunity was there and that there was very little happening in that respect, it was really attractive, and it was sort of like a light bulb moment that this was going to allow us to facilitate bridging these two industries. Some of the most significant challenges with opening the malt house were also along the same lines as what was so attractive about the malt house, but also it was going to let us work in an industry that was sort of uncharted territory. We were going to have a lot of freedom to be creative. We were going to have a lot of freedom to sort of build it as we imagine, versus just ordering a system through a supplier, and sort of it was not very formulaic, and I think for our personalities that was really attractive. So the main motivation is if I don't get up, the malt will overheat. Needs to be managed on regular intervals, being on the floor. But but really, I think we take a lot of pride in the craft of the product. We take a lot of pride in the nuance in the differentiation of the product. And for us, you know, it's motivating to know that there's going to be some beers and some customers that are really appreciating the nuance to what we're doing. And that's really what keeps us motivating. We're trying to take malt and move it away from being simply a commodity and trying to make it a product that's sort of artisanal.